So hello, Oliver. I'd like you to tell us today about BSCG and the history here. I know your father started it. Can you tell us the history of this and sport testing? We'd like to hear about the whole field.
I would love to. Appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast, Carrie. So thank you for inviting me. BSCG's been around now for a little more than 22 years by now. I started it alongside my dad, Dr. Don Catlin, who was one of the gurus of anti-doping in the United States. He started his lab at UCLA in 1982 to do the Olympic Games testing for the LA Games and grew it into the largest sport drug testing lab in the world. During that time, when there was no such thing as dietary supplement certification and testing. And so we were one of the first to come to the industry to offer banned substance certification, specifically focused on ensuring that the products that we test are clean and free of banned substances and not going to cause any inadvertent positive drug tests for athletes or military service members. We had dealt with a number of positive drug tests after the fact at my dad's lab at UCLA and wanted to offer something to the industry where brands could proactively participate and showcase the quality of their products to athletes and other consumers at the end of the day. So that was really the reason we started BSCG 22 years ago. I want to support the dietary supplement industry, the great industry that we're all part of. We've had dietary supplements assailed from all sides. When illegal stuff is put into the products and gets exposed, probably 95% of the industry is good, but if 5% of the industry is bad and they're driving all of these consumer challenges and health issues and substituted drugs and drug contamination concerns, that pollutes the entire dietary supplement industry and harms good products as much as it does harming consumers. We really like to do our part in making sure that the industry is following the expected regulations and providing good quality products to consumers at the end of the day.
So you've recently highlighted the emerging research peptide and SARM gray market, or black market as you like to call it. What worries you most about this space? Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, unapproved peptides and research chemicals have really taken off in today's environment. Peptides are one of the biggest wellness trends we've seen in decades. It never ceases to amaze me that one of the biggest trends in decades are driven by unapproved drugs. These are predominantly substances that have existed. They were created as pharmaceutical drugs. You really don't have much clinical trial evidence on the efficacy or safety of them. As we sit here today, these are unapproved drugs and research chemicals, so you can't legally make them as a dietary supplement in today's market. Very few of them can be legally made by compounding pharmacies. And so the biggest, most frequent avenue to consumers is selling them as research chemicals. There is a research chemical bypass, if you will, of the regulatory system, where if you label any substance as a research chemical not for human consumption, there are very few restrictions on it being sold. Of course, you can't sell it for human consumption, and all of these peptides are being sold for human consumption, human use. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, that leaves today's consumers with an incredibly trendy, popular category of product that is not subject to good manufacturing practice requirements. They don't have to do label claim testing, consistent testing for environmental contaminants, or anything like that. But at the end of the day, without any regulation, there's very little consumer protection. A lot of these things are required to be injected in order to get the therapeutic benefit. And so they're very different than dietary supplements. Even though many of them are sold alongside dietary supplements today, BPC 157 is very frequently sold as a dietary supplement. Most of those are subject to very little quality control, if anything. There's been a lot of issues with endotoxins and the toxicity of those causing some severe reactions in people, sending people to emergency rooms and so forth, just because the quality of the product is not up to pharmaceutical standards and the standards for something that would need to be injected. And at the end of the day, it's causing a lot of consumer confusion. Consumers don't necessarily recognize the differences between unapproved peptides and dietary supplements, and those two industries are commingled often in the minds of the consumer. So we got a lot of work to do in that.
What do you make of this new enhanced games that have come out?
Yeah, the enhanced games are an experiment with sport. It's really more of a show that was built for commercial purposes than anything else. The enhanced games puts on this competition and lets people dope with whatever they really want. They're trying to restrict it to FDA approved drugs, things like testosterone and human growth hormone and EPO and other things. People sort of forget that the reason that we have drug testing in sport to begin with was because in an open environment, athletes were actually starting to die from enhancement. All major sport today, as we sit here today, the World Anti-Doping Agency was started in 1999, and today there's more than 700 signatories to the WADA code. So that's 700 sport organizations around the world that have decided that doping is not good for their sport, not good for their athletes. The problem is that enhancement, when it gets out of control, is almost always harmful to the athletes or the people that are taking the drugs that are guiding this enhancement. Certainly, our younger generations are looking at this and saying, oh, okay, well, it's okay for these people to enhance themselves. It's okay for me to enhance myself. Many people are doing that with no controls, no titration, and no concept of the medical issues that may come along with it. I worry that the trend can come with longer term health issues for consumers that are not yet recognized because these products are understudied and we just simply aren't aware of what might be coming in the future.
Do you have like a message out there for people about something you want to talk about or message for the world?
Stay away from unapproved peptides. It's hard to really avoid the trends that come out in this industry. It's hard to not be intrigued by them. The more research that you can do, the more as a brand to verify and justify the efficacy and safety of your products, the better off that you are. And that same thing goes for consumers. Oftentimes, brands do their own clinical research and administration, even on finished products, to demonstrate that the marketing claims are accurate. And I would certainly encourage consumers to look for those types of clinical research studies and administration studies. The more research you can do on your product, on the brands that are making your product, and the studies that are behind them, the better. And that same thing goes for third-party certifications. Take a little time to look into the details, ask questions about frequency of testing, about what goes into it, and how certain key elements are included so that you understand what that certification is doing and how it benefits you and the products that you choose to use at the end of the day.